Hey, what's going on YouTube audiophiles? Just coming at you with another quick review of an integrated amplifier here, the Boulder 866. We got this in, actually luckily found a dealer that was generous enough to allow me to demo it in home, which has been amazing. It's where I live, we don't have a ton of access to this audio gear, so it's hard to hear it in person. And again, I think that's extremely important with your setup in your house, your cables, all of that good stuff, right? So luckily I was able to do that. So just a quick review, a couple thoughts on this. Hopefully, again, this isn't professional, obviously, as you can see in the quality of this video and the quality of my presentation. Not a professional, but hopefully this will help you out because it has been a difficult, a little bit frustrating too, find the right piece, trying to read reviews and get an idea without hearing it. And maybe I shouldn't even do that anymore. I should just try and figure out a way to audition this stuff in home. But anyway, so I'm moving up from a Luxman 509X, wonderful piece, very detailed, very holographic, very accurate, 3D presentation, nice sound stage. You can actually pick out where the instruments are on the stage. It's got a great sense of actually being, it's almost eerie, but you can really feel and sense and hear where a recording was recorded at. So in a hall or a recording studio, and it's really got that presence and ambiance even around the music. So it's a really cool piece. I see why it has such great reviews out there and it has such a great and wide following. Like it's amazing. So the only thing that I didn't like about the Luxman was that, to me, it seemed like the highs were just a little bit too accentuated. It's almost like the gain was turned up in the highs, or you know, there was just a lot of energy up there in the highs. And to me, even in my space, you know, it's a little bit lively, so it's part of it. But to me, it was a little bit fatiguing. Like I could really enjoy a piece for a half hour, and that was about tops, where I used to be able to sit down here with other pieces and listen for, you know, like the Mac, I sat down here, listened for a couple hours, 3 hours one night, you know. It was just great. So I wanted something a little bit different, did some research, talked to a lot of audio stores, and the Boulder was, it intrigued me because they said it's a little bit warmer, softer presentation. So I got it, listened to it, and I would definitely say that that's true. So if you're wanting something that still has like good detail, like good impactful bass, textured bass, sound stage, the Boulder fits the bill, right? So I would say it's the Luxman. Everything's scaled down a little bit. I mean, that Luxman's a great value for what it is. It really hits way high, much higher over its price class than where it's at. I feel if you are okay with those accentuated, the higher energy in that treble area. And I've been told from dealers, you know, it might be just the Japanese tuning of that amplifier that I wasn't liking. You know, I really wanted to like it. I had it for about a couple months. So anyway, I would say that the Boulder is like the Luxman. It's just everything toned down a little bit. So I don't get those highs. I can sit down here and listen to it for, you know, hours on end. To me, it seems like it's actually more natural. Like voices are more natural, horns are more natural. And maybe because I like a little bit more of that warmth to the presentation, and the Boulder does that. So again, great piece. The three-dimensionality is toned down a little bit. You get a little bit less of it. You get a little bit less of a feeling of you're actually there. It's more like that music, to put it in a descriptive way, is like it's almost like that music is brought to your room versus you're actually there in that recording studio or that hall or wherever it was recorded at. Where the Luxman had all of that, like you are actually there kind of a feeling, if that makes any sense. So it's almost like everything's kind of scaled down, but it's just easier to listen to. It really is. So, you know, bass I don't think was quite as punchy as the Luxman, and I looked at the dampening factor, and I know that you can get into a whole conversation on that, and there's actually a mathematical formula that you should really pay attention to on that. But, you know, that might have been some of it, but I didn't. Great bass. Just, I didn't think it was as quick, as textured, as punchy as the Luxman was. It's just easier to listen to me for hours on end. So I really did enjoy the piece. It's lighter than the Luxman. It's easier to move around. It's, you know, it's not that audiophile jewelry, if you will, that the Luxman is. I mean, the machining and the, you know, the glass work on that Luxman is just second to none. It really is. So it's definitely more of a toned down piece. It's, you know, a rectangular box. They did do some cool designs with the heat sinks on the side. It's all machined aluminum, and it's made to, I'm told, look like a grove of aspens. That it, you know, that really kind of speaks to me, as I like Colorado a lot, hiking out there. So that's kind of cool that that was integrated into the design of it. I guess one of the things that you know, like it or not like it, when it's off, it is now, it's just a black screen that you're looking at. You know, I personally like the look of the meters and the glass panel a little bit better. But that's all a personal preference, right? I mean, once it's on, it's kind of cool to be able to see the album artwork, and I'll turn that on in a second. The only thing that I might not have liked so much is the finish on top. It's got little screws. I don't know if you can see it. You can probably Google pictures, but there's actually little screws or bolts. They're recessed, but they go around the top and kind of ruins that clean look. You know, the Luxman pieces don't have that. I don't know if you can see the CD player. It's the match to the 509X. No screw holes on the top. There's a few, actually this doesn't even have them on the side, but you know, so that's kind of a detractor. The only other thing that I didn't like too, it kind of ruins this clean brushed aluminum look, are these plasticky rubber black buttons. You know, to me it seems like, could you have done something a little bit different there with, that's getting nitpicky, but could they have been matching buttons maybe? Otherwise, it's, you know, it's a wonderful piece, so hopefully that helps out in the sound quality when you're trying to compare these things. You know, I kind of compared it to the Mac, or to the Luxman, but if you compare it to the Mac, nowhere near as warm. You still get all of those details. You know, again, nice punchy bass. You get a sense of room. It's good. It's as easy to listen to as the Mac, with just a little bit more detail that you get with the Luxman. Again, just kind of scaled down with that piece. Comparing those two pieces. The only other thing that I guess I struggled with a little bit on this is, like, especially in this price point, I mean, that's part of the design of the Boulder, where it's just kind of an amp, and I know it's an integrated, but really to me it seems more like, hey, here's a power amp with some controls in it, which is kind of cool in itself. But as far as being a full integrated, I guess I would have personally liked a little bit more hookups on the back. So there's no pre-outs on it. I'll show you a picture here if you want to look at it, but there's no pre-outs on the back. There's no sub-outs. There's no RCAs. Everything is balanced, which is, you know, what most people in this bracket listen to, I guess, when you're looking at these. But if you do have something with an RCA, there's easy workarounds for all of this. Like, you can hook the subs up to the speaker terminals. You don't need sub outs technically. You know, there's workarounds for all of it. It just would have been kind of nice if it had a couple more of those features built into it. If you do want to hook up an RCA, they make these quick little nice converters that changes it from a balanced to an RCA. You'll see. So again, it's easy. It's just not built into it, and then you plug your RCA into that. It's just not built into it. So, you know, just be aware of that when you're looking at it. Otherwise, you know, it's a great piece. Again, as long as you're not looking for something that you want those highs and ultra details and ultra resolution. You know, again, everything's just kind of a little bit more natural and warmer and easier to listen to with the Boulder 866. I like it. The only other thing to mention is, like, this is a little bit different too, I guess. You know, going back to the nitpicking things, is like, other Boulder pieces come with a remote. Just give us a remote. You know, it's for some of us, like, guys that might want to come down. You know, I stare at a screen all day. Don't want to look at my phone, don't want to use my phone. I want to come down and just be in audio bliss, right? And kind of forget about all the technology and things like that. A little bit harder to do with the 866 because, again, you get the touch screen and things like that. No remote. You can buy a cheap little Amazon thing for 15 bucks and plug a little adapter into the back, and you can control the volume and things like that if you do want a remote. I just think, like, personally, like, in this price range, that's a little bit cheesy. You know, just, again, personal preferences. I'm not so much like all ultra tech, and so, like, just having a nice little remote would have been good with this piece. So that's my last nitpick with it. I guess I'll try and show you here quick, since while we're talking about the remote, I do have to say is you can connect your phone to it, Android or Apple. There's actually a Boulder app, and you can control all functionality of the 866 through your phone, which is actually kind of cool. And I used it for, you know, it's going on a good week now. I didn't have any glitches to this at all. It's a pretty seamless thing. The other cool thing is then when you're listening to music too, it pops it up onto the screen, and I'll just quickly show you that. So you do have power here, mute, volume up and down, and those are all the buttons you get. The rest of it is on the touch screen. So what I was doing, I was actually Apple AirPlaying music to this. I know we can go on a topic about that as far as sound quality, but just ease of use, that's what I was doing. And the Boulder app works really good, because then I can just hit connect to it via Wi-Fi or my network. Then I can hit the music that's on my phone or my tablet or whatever, and just kind of scroll through, play. I can actually control the volume with my phone, just with the little buttons on the side or the slider that you get on the screen. So technically a remote isn't needed. I'm just kind of old school, so give me a remote. That's all I got. So I'll just quickly show you this and we'll conclude that, but you'll see a Boulder app. Click on that. You can see it's in standby mode. That's the only other thing that would work. Well, what if I was shuffling around and this thing got open, like I was out of town, or would it still turn on and then get warm and just sit on and then not power off? I mean, I don't know. I haven't had it long enough to know that, but I think this works anywhere. Like you can turn it on anywhere. Anyway, so I hit resume. Oops, fires it up in the back. Hear that nice click. The other thing that I will mention too is, you know, I comparing these things to integrated. The Yamaha was dead silent. You put your ear up to it, to the tweeter, you can't hear anything. Mac, you heard a little bit of texture or noise or static. They call it idle static, I think, is, you know, but that's the noise floor too, right, of these amplifiers. The Mac had a little bit of that. The Luxman was honestly the loudest. It had the most static out of any of these things that I reviewed. The Boulder is pretty quiet. I'd say it might be just very slightly over the static of the Mac, but not much. I mean, they're basically the same. So I don't know if that makes any importance to anybody, but there you go. But anyway, then it pulls up, once you open your app, then you can kind of see the functionality of it, and you can scroll through this and it changes. I should show you the screen too, because then it actually shows it on the, it'll actually move it on the screen too. There's a slight delay. Again, that kind of comes with the nature of these beasts of using a phone for anything, right? You move it over, changes inputs. All right, so then I go back to network, and then I can control the volume on the piece down here at the bottom. So that's actually controlling the Boulder volume. Playing AirPlay to my phone. Let me connect it really quick. Then basically what happens is it brings up a Wi-Fi signal, shows you what the piece is, connect to it, and then when you play songs, like on my phone I got Sydney Rose here, and you hit play and it should show up on your screen, which it did. This is kind of cool, right? And you can control the volume with the phone or your little $12 Amazon remote if you get a remote. So hopefully that helps kind of show the functionality of the piece too. Overall summary, great. I would own one. Again, I wanted to like the Luxman. It's an amazing piece. It just hurt my ears, so it's not something that was fatiguing. You know, it's not something that I could keep. I could live with the Boulder. I hope to try one more piece here. I'm gonna try and get a Griffin Diablo in here. We'll see if that can happen or not, but otherwise this might conclude the integrated reviews, at least the top ones that I was looking at. It'd be fun to have a Past Labs Int 250 in here as a comparison too. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get one. I called a couple audio stores and they're like, no, you gotta buy it. So I'm not sure I wanna do that or not. But anyway, hopefully that helps. Again, hit me up with any kind of questions you all have. This is to help people. Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody with their purchase, but you know, put some questions down there. I'm happy to answer them for you too. Hopefully that helps. Happy listening. Enjoy the music. See y'all. Bye. Hey, sorry, I'm back. I just wanted to make another quick point that I that I forgot to mention on the initial video. Most of my listening time was spent with streaming to the Boulder and using the internal DAC. And again, leading to that, nice, natural, warm presentation. I did also listen to some SACDs and CDs through the Luxman D7X. And the Boulder is sensitive to your upstream component, so I just wanted to make that quick note. I forgot to mention that. Using the Luxman SACD, the presentation was definitely more lively, again, accentuated towards that upper end spectrum of the frequencies, higher frequencies, more energy in the frequency range using the Luxman, and bypassing the Boulder DAC. So, again, it depends on what you're hooking up to it. But again, if most people, I think with the Boulder, just the way that it's set up, are going to stream to it. So, you'll get that, more natural, warm presentation, great, nice natural vocals, horns sound great, piano sound natural. It's just a nice presentation. So just wanted to make that point. And then the other thing that I forgot to mention too is the speaker setup. I'm using Wilson Sabrinas to listen to all of this gear. And the other thing that I noticed with changing out these integrated amps is speaker positioning, of course, having to adjust it for each of the amps. With the Boulder, I felt like, again, because there's probably more energy in the mid-range versus that high frequency, the music wasn't as crystal clear. And one of the things that I noticed is that I had the Sabrinas actually turned, pointed outwards, so the tweeters were like less focused on my ears in that triangle. And just because, again, I was sensitive to the highs that thing was putting out. Tilting those speakers in with the Boulder, again, just made it definitely more accurate and detailed. Again, didn't change that natural presentation that it had, but I did find that I needed to do that with my speakers, just point them in. I also found that it was less sensitive to the change in sound. What I was hearing was less sensitive to actually me moving around. So if I, move my head a little bit this way or move my head a little bit this way, that we all do, trying to get that perfect sound right. With the Luxman, I mean, it changed a decent amount. And I think, again, because more of that energy is up there in those tweeters, which is a more accurate pinpoint, wavelengths and frequency, where the Boulder, it wasn't anywhere near as sensitive to, moving around in there. So that's another thing to point out when you're looking at these integrated amplifiers and the sound that's coming out of them too, is, how broad of a seating space, and do you have others listening with you too? That'll definitely impact, what people are hearing with some of these things too. So just wanted to make those couple other points. Otherwise, I think that sums it up. Again, thanks for watching. Hopefully it helps. See you later.
Thank you.